Hey folks, I want to get you caught up a little bit on what's been going on in English 9. In truth, it's been too long since we've had the chance to do this. And so I want to let you know where we've been, as well as where we're headed, and why we're working at the pace that we are. The first place that I kind of want to start is with something that is a little bit new for us as an English 9 class, and that is building in more conferencing time. Now, normally conferencing is something we do during essay writing. We often think about conferencing at the end of that. We'll get there in a moment because we are going to start working on an essay. But we've actually started building conferences far more often. And so over the last few weeks, we've been conferencing with just about every student. I've made it through about 2/3 of the students. I'm hoping to get through everyone either by the end of this week or early next week. And then we'll just start that cycle up again. So what is it that we're talking about during these conferences if it's not writing based specifically? A few different things. One, it's been a really great chance just to get caught up with your student and check in a little bit on kind of just the social emotional part of this. The first question I've been asking is, how are you doing with this idea of kind of the back and forth of we were virtual and then 25%, 50%, we're back to virtual. We'll be that way until at least mid-January. Then who knows? How are we doing there? And it's kind of been nice to get caught up on that a little bit. It also gave us a chance to talk a little bit about the time that I was out, for paternity leave. And it was really nice to get caught up and find out what was making sense, what was a little bit confusing, and then working to bridge some of those gaps. So we've been using our conferencing time for the past 2-3 weeks to get caught up on some of those things as well, and to just have quick one-on-ones about what it is that we've been reading. And maybe that's kind of the last part, is not only have we been talking about Of Mice and Men, the book that we were all doing together and that we recently finished, but we've also had a chance to talk a little bit about independent reading and how that process is going and whether students are liking their books or whether they need to go in a new direction. Because at the end of the day, if we are going to help create readers, we have to put really good literature in your students' hands, and we've got to give them a chance to talk about it. And in the virtual world, that's really, really hard to do. And so we're going to put some emphasis on some one-on-one conferencing just to kind of talk casually about those things, talk casually about a lot of things, but also about that reading process, what it is they're reading, how that's going, and what that means for future books we want to get in their hands. That's a great thing to follow up with your students on too. We've been carving out independent reading time. Students have absolutely been reading. They've been able to demonstrate for the most part that they've been doing that reading. And so following up with your student and finding out what is that book that he or she is reading would be a great starting point. It would also be great if you have not seen them with a book in their hands to kind of put that as a little bit more of a priority. It's still academic, but it's also pleasurable because it's a book they chose, and it gets them away from some screen time, which is really nice. But I want to catch you up a little bit on conferences because it's been really nice to catch up with your students and have just quick one-on-ones to check in and make sure we're on the same page and we're hitting the needs of our students. So that's been a big focus. The second big thing, we finished Of Mice and Men, our first big novel together. I thought our students did a wonderful job with really thoughtful analysis of a very difficult ending. It was not the ending we wanted, but then we took some time to generate all the ways that we maybe hoped that it could end, and we realized that all of those actually weren't nearly as good when we actually kind of played them out. And so it ended up being not the ending we wanted, but perhaps the ending that we needed. And most students kind of came around to say, wow, that's a tough ending, but like there's some beauty in it. Ask your students about the ending, especially if you remember how it ends. If you don't, you can certainly ask as well. But talk to them about what they thought of how it ended. I think that's kind of the key. I think that'd be great. So where are we headed? We've started prepping for our essays on Of Mice and Men, and I'm really excited to do that. Now, we've actually been prepping for this essay for a while because we've been writing literary analysis paragraphs really for the last month and a half. Now we get to take all those skills and put them into an essay. But we're doing the essay a little bit differently. Oftentimes, your students are given a list of 3, 4, 5 topics. They choose one and off they go. I think that's great when it's a test and we don't have a lot of time. I think it's great when there's homework of, hey, choose one of these 3 because it's homework and you've got like a short period of time to do it. This is an essay, though. We're going to be working on it over a long period of time. And I'm not overly interested in them writing about what I want. I'm more interested in them writing about what they want. And if your first reaction to that is, what does that mean? Or my student's not going to want to write anything. I think it's a great chance to chat with them a little bit about their sales pitches that they made today. We had some fun at the end of last week. We tried to sell some random things around our room to practice what it takes to sell something to someone and what it takes to get them to buy in. Today in third hour and tomorrow, Tuesday in sixth hour, sales pitches are happening on their essay ideas. They're bringing 2 or maybe even 3 different topics that they generated and that I approved, and now they're going to their group and saying, here's option A, here's how I would do it. Here's option B, here's how I do it. And some of them even have an option C, here's how I do it. And then they're getting feedback. And based on that feedback, they're going to make the choice about which pathway they want to go down. Now, we opened up by talking about conferencing, right? And now it's like, well, there's a lot of talking happening. There's not necessarily a whole lot of writing that's happened. We finished the book, a week and a half ago, and now we've been doing a lot of talking, a lot of planning, but we haven't even started the essay yet. I think that it's really important to remember that it's important to get this stage right rather than to do it quickly. It's why we've been doing a lot of talking, and we'll pace things out as needed to make sure we've got the time to write. But in truth, if you do it well, what real writers will tell you is that pre-writing is 85% of the writing process. Because if you set yourself up on solid ground, the rest of it ends up falling into place. And I have to remind myself of that too a little bit of, oh my gosh, it's December. We haven't even written a full essay yet. I know it's a pandemic, but shouldn't we be picking this up? But then I kind of remind myself that we have been writing, and we've been writing a lot. We will absolutely be able to craft these essays well because we've written in small chunks and because we're doing a really nice job with taking the time to plan. The great thing about being in this pre-writing stage and taking the time for it is we get to focus a lot on ideas, generating those, and taking some time to think about how we would actually organize this. That means I get to give them feedback sooner. That means they don't end up going down a pathway that they can't get out of, but it's still their pathway. We're able to work through so many of those kinks. And so conferring as pre-writing is a small change in the writing process. It's something they're not used to. They're not used to having to explain how they're going to write an essay. They're used to just kind of doing the essay and then saying, can I get feedback on this thing I already did? But based on my conversations thus far, it's proving to be a powerful tool for us, and kids are doing a really, really nice job. And plus, now that we've modeled this experience, in the future, they'll be able to pick up the pace and do this even more efficiently. So I'm really excited because this is them selecting a topic. This is them pushing it forward. It's them organizing their ideas and me doing a little bit of guiding based on how much or how little they need me. And I get to go ahead and really push the students that need it. I get to really help guide students who need that, and hopefully find a good balance. And that way your student can hit their writing goals. And that's our ultimate goal. That's what we're working on. So how can you help? Your student either gave a sales pitch today, if they're in my third hour, or if they work with me and Miss Blasey in sixth hour, they're giving their sales pitch tomorrow. Either way, ask to hear that sales pitch. If they already gave their sales pitch today, ask to hear the one that they're going with. Find out what's making sense to them. How confident are they feeling in being able to actually execute this type of essay? If they're giving their sales pitch tomorrow, Tuesday, or if you listen to this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you're talking to somebody kind of after the fact, either way, hear as many sales pitches as they'll give you. Listen carefully, ask good questions, but at the end of the day, you're going to know even without reading of Mice and Men, their confidence level based on how well they can explain, here's what I want to try and accomplish, and here's how I'm going to do it. You'll know pretty quickly where they're at. And based on that, you're able to guide them and say, hey, it sounds like you really need to reach out to Mr. Pruder and have a meeting. Or you'll be able to say with confidence, my student's feeling confident. I understand why, and please know there will be plenty of things in place. I promise even the confident students aren't just going to be pushed out to sea or anything like that. But chat with your kids a little bit about where it is that they are headed with their essays. Many of them are truly excited about their essays. I had students stay late today because they wanted to talk about their essays and they're still torn between 2 topics. That's a great spot to be. And I think when we turn over a little bit of power and we let them write about what they want to write, with some guidance, of course, that's going to lead to the best writing. So check in with your students. And if I can be of any extra help, whether it's on this essay or whether it's supporting your student in any other way, please don't hesitate to let me know. It's a strange year, it's a challenging year, but I'm really proud of the work that we've been doing, and we've got some really good stuff ahead of us. So looking forward to that. Folks, have a great week. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions, comments, concerns, and check in with your students and ask to hear their sales pitch on which essay they want to move forward with, as they had 2 or 3 that they brought to the table. Have a great week. Talk to y'all soon. Thanks again.